So, this is the first video of the drivetrain update for my 1970 Rover NADA Spec, which is North America, 3500S, which is an automatic. So this is the motor that I picked up locally. That's from a Discovery, an 89 Discovery, 3.9 liter. And then the transmission is a ZF 4HP22 automatic, which is actually two transmissions because the bell housing and the case are from a Range Rover, but the tail shaft is out of a Jaguar, and the tail shaft housing is Jaguar also, as is the transmission pan. That's Jaguar, because the Range Rover transmission was set up to go to a transfer case, so it had a different tail shaft, different extension, etc. So the motor was relatively low mileage, probably I think about 65,000. I did take it apart. It looked pretty good, so I replaced all the bearings, I rehoned all the cylinders, new piston rings using the original pistons. The camshaft looked good. 15 of the lifters looked good. One of them had just a little bit of pitting on the surface, so I've replaced that. And as you can see, I've got an Offenhauser dual plane 4-barrel manifold and a Holley 650 or the 600 CFM 4-barrel carburetor with vacuum secondaries, which is what was on the old motor, which is this one. This was a 3.5 liter aluminum V8 that was in the car originally. Fairly stock, though it did have the 4-barrel on. That's a newer distributor with Petronics, and it's converted to a Delco Remy alternator off of our early 90s GM product. I was hoping to put that onto the new motor, but the new motor is set up with serpentine, as you can see, and I thought I could modify it to get it into the bracket, but it wouldn't fit down into the groove here. I guess like a little bit bigger around, it just wasn't going to work. So I've found an alternator that this serpentine system for US is about a 96, so I don't know whether that's because it was a foreign market engine, Japanese, and it had the serpentine belt on it, or whether this was an engine that was put into a later model Range Rover. Well, anyway, when I buy parts, that's what I have to do. I think it's a 96, has a serpentine belt, it's this alternator, this compressor for the air conditioning, so we'll do that. It also has a different setup for the heater, because this has the serpentine water pump on it. So we lose, on the original motor there's a bypass pipe here, which is not on here, and this is the heater coming forward. I'm going to have to get that into this lower area. The smaller 3.5 liter actually has a port here for the water for the heater, so I'm going to have to make something for that. So, but that's another day's project. So where it's going to go, this is the car. Nice big hole for it. This is pretty stock. One thing I did catch while I was here, these two lower bolts on the steering were both loose, even though this one's got a lock tab on it. This one's a big bolt. I'm thinking that's probably what the clunk in the front end was, because I've been chasing that for a while. So tighten those up. Replacement master cylinder, whole nother story by itself. Someone had rebuilt the original and left some parts out. Joy oh joy. Which ruined the diaphragm in here because it was sucking brake fluid through, so that's been replaced. This was rebuilt by someone else. Had the whole heater box out, cleaned up, replaced all the vacuum lines, sorted all that out, and that does work. I drove the car for, I don't know, about 1,000 miles with the other engine in it, but it's tired. And the automatic water type 35. This is this one right here. It was probably okay in its day, but you know, those days were a long time ago, and it's worn. Somebody rebuilt it, and they put together the adjusters incorrectly, so the bands are worn out again. They're all the way as tight as you can get them, and they still shift a little funky. So it just seemed like a good time to try to do this upgrade to the newer ZF transmission. A few other people have done it, but there's very little information on the net. So I've been kind of getting what I can for information and winging the rest as I went. One of the things that they talk about is the Range Rover. It's hard to tell here, but the transmission's offset 10 degrees from the motor. So I had to make up a mount regardless, and the mount has that twist accounted for. So the lower plate on the mount is set off by 10 degrees, so hopefully this will sit in there. It seems to fit between the original mountings okay. In this area, the original mount in the car will be about here. This is where the new mount's going to bolt on, and I found some sway bar links that I think I can use to put it all together with. This is the Jaguar tail shaft, which will bolt right onto the existing drive shaft, so that's good. That was the bracket for the old transmission.